Hi, my name is Taylor Glenn, and you're watching my entry for the IJA Video Tutorial Contest. The topic of this tutorial? The Flourish. Now before we get started, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on some new features that I've added to my tutorials. If you look over to the left, you'll see 3 boxes. Each of these boxes has a specific function in order to make your learning experience flow a little bit easier. Now, you may or may not actually end up using these functions, but just so you know, they are there. The very top box serves as the back button. The video is broken down into steps, and if at any time you feel like you didn't quite grasp the step and you want to go back to the beginning or even back to an earlier step, that's when you'd press that button. The middle box is the forward button. If at any time during a step you feel like you've gotten it down and you want to move on to the next step, feel free to press that button. I understand that not everyone learns at the same pace, so that's why that's there. The bottom box is the slow motion button. Personally, when I watch video tutorials, I love it when they include slow motion because that's just how my brain works. So, if you're watching a step and you feel like you want to see it in slow motion without any audio, click that button and it'll take you to a short clip of slow motion. And then when you're done, you can click the back button and it'll take you right back to the step where you were at. So those are the basic buttons. Now you may not even use those, but they're just there in case you learn at a speed slightly faster or slower than the speed of the video. Also, I suggest letting the video bar load completely before using these buttons. So enough talking, let's learn the Flourish. Before you learn the Flourish, you should already know these patterns: the 3-club cascade, doubles, and I suggest you know the 4-2-3 pattern. Now normally you catch like this, but for the Flourish you're going to catch it slightly earlier in what we call a bottle grip. Then you're going to rotate the club forward. You should be holding it now in a way that feels like you're trying to stab yourself. You're going to rotate your fist forward again and let the club fall between your index and middle finger. This will feel really awkward at first, but once you get faster at it, the speed and momentum will help make this move a lot easier. From here, you're going to let the top of the club fall between these fingers. As you do this, rotate your wrist so your palm faces down. To complete the step, move your index finger over. Here's all the steps combined together. As I mentioned before, this trick relies heavily on momentum, and the more you practice and the more speed you gain, the easier the trick will become. Don't forget to practice both hands so you can do the trick on both sides. Now let's put the Flourish into a pattern. Usually when you use a Flourish, you do it with a double. So to start off, take 1 club and throw a double. Instead of catching it normally, catch it slightly early, then do the Flourish. You're just raising your hand up slightly higher so that you can catch it in bottle grip. It ends up being between 1.5 and 2 rotations. In this tutorial, we're going to cover 2 basic patterns that you can put the Flourish into. The first pattern I find easier because it's a little bit slower than the other one, but in order to learn this, you'll have to know the 4-2-3 pattern with 3 clubs. With the 4-2-3 pattern, the 2 will be replaced with the Flourish, so when you're catching the 4, you'll be catching it in the bottle grip. Start off with your 4-2-3 pattern, but when you go to catch the 4, raise your hand up and catch it slightly earlier. Once you get that down, you can add another throw. While you're flourishing the 2, your other hand will be throwing a 4. Moves should be simultaneous, or at least close to it. Work on this until you have it down, because from here it's just pretty much repeating the steps. Now for the second pattern, incorporating the Flourish into doubles. Now this pattern's a little bit easier to understand, but it is faster when you put a Flourish into the mix. So I would recommend learning 4-2-3 first, and then moving on to this one. So this is a lot like what we practiced with 1 club. Throw a double and catch it in the other hand. But now try practicing it with 2. Throw 2 doubles and practice catching them in flourishes. Once you feel comfortable doing this with 2 clubs, you can move on to 3. With 3 clubs, practice just catching 1 flourish and then stopping. When you feel ready, go ahead and catch the next double in a flourish as well. Once you get that solid, it's just repetition. There's nothing fancy about this pattern, you're just doing a flourish under the double. So there you go. Hopefully this tutorial helped and you at least got a basic feel of what a flourish should look like. Remember to practice a lot, and don't forget to practice the other hand as well, because you want to be able to do it on both sides. And hey, in order to do a good flourish, you gotta have a good set of clubs. So if you're looking to buy a new set, go to www.airtrafficonline.com. They have a great selection from beginner to advanced clubs, and they got good prices.